Okay, so welcome to everyone joining for the special discussion with filmmaker Sheikh Shahnawaz. My name is Monser Ali. I am the founder of the London Bengali Film Festival. Sheikh Nawaz is here in the virtual studio and he'll be joining us very shortly. If you haven't seen his film, you must check it out. It's called Bluff. And as a fellow filmmaker, I'm very proud that another British Bangladeshi has gone through the struggles of making the films which we will talk about in a while. And the film is going to be screened tomorrow, beg your pardon, on Saturday at Close Up Cinema in London. So the London Bengali Film Festival is about promoting and sharing experiences of the Bengali diaspora to a wider audience. So I'm going to invite Sheikh Shahnawaz on. Let's see. Here we go. Hey, Sheikh, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I know you've been running around. We've been running around, so thanks for taking the time to join us.
It's okay.
How has your day been today?
It's been good. A little hot, but
Yeah,
other than that, uh, very, very well. How about yourself?
yeah, good. I mean, yeah, we're seeing a bit of a heat blaze, which we welcome in the UK. I don't know about you, but I enjoy a bit of summer in London. I
I
think we have
prefer cold.
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about your film, Bluff. We're now it's you've already had it screened. It's been in theaters. And it's now going to be screened at the fifth London Bengali Film Festival on Saturday. We're very excited. I've not seen the film. I've seen the trailer. It's something quite amazing. Tell us about your journey. How has it been for you making this film?
So I'm a British Bangladeshi Muslim filmmaker from Birmingham. I started making videos from the age of 15 using my school's camera equipment, studying BTech media, and then carried it on to college, making more sort of videos with my friends for my coursework. Took it on to university, made a couple short films that I put on YouTube that have about almost 2 million views. Those two particular short films I made in university, and then I left university, graduated, got a job editing wedding films at the gate. In that time, I sort of spent a lot of time learning about my craft and learning about the craft of filmmaking, screenwriting. And then in 2018, I made a short film every month. It's a challenge that I set myself. I made these films with no budget, no crew, just with friends who were actors. And then, over the course of the year of making these films, I got connected with more filmmakers, more actors, and within my city, and was able to collaborate with more actors on the other short films I made throughout the year. And then in 2019, I felt I was pretty much finished with short films, and I wanted to make a feature film, which has always been a sort of dream of mine, especially a micro budget feature film, because some of the filmmakers that have inspired me, like Christopher Nolan, Stanley Kubrick, um, uh, Darren Aronofsky, they got their start making a sort of independent film, micro budget, using their own resources, whatever money they had. Christopher Nolan and Stanley Kubrick, particularly, absolute geniuses of cinema, very inspiring to me. And if Christopher Nolan could shoot a £6,000 feature film on black and white 60 millimeter stock back in the 90s, where film stock was very expensive, and now you have these digital cameras where you can essentially shoot for free. I didn't really have an excuse, so I spent 2019 writing a feature film, Bluff. It's about an undercover cop posing as a heroin addict. He manipulates a local junkie into working with him for a dangerous drug dealer. The inspiration came from I've noticed a rise in homelessness and drug dealing and drug addiction within Birmingham. You know, I've been born and raised here, so I've seen how the city's evolved, the issues that have evolved over the years, and that was something that was quite prevalent at the time of writing, and still is, actually. So I did my
We see
research.
very
Sorry,
active social issues then in your part of the UK.
pardon?
Are these still quite active social issues? The drugs issues you was talking about. Is this something that quite because in the nineties and 2000s in London, I mean, it is still there now, but it was very prevalent. You couldn't avoid the drugs issues, especially in the South Asian and Bengali communities as well. So this was something that's been ongoing. I was just trying to find out if it's the same in your neck of the woods.
Yes, I mean it's especially bad in the Midlands because you have criminals that have more opportunity outside of London because the bigger areas police are covering these areas as heavily as central London, for example. So I don't know, in the news there's a lot of talk about drug mules being sent from London to country areas. Drug dealers will call them conch lines, where they'll go to the sort of countryside, Midlands towns, and deal drugs there because it's a lot safer, and there's still that demand for heroin and crack cocaine in these areas, even all over the country. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk more about your film, please. Bluff. I mean, you've given us a brief about it. And I suppose you've already spoken about the inspiration. Um, Now, you said something quite important about making films on little to no budget, and this is something that quite a lot of filmmakers excel. And anyone who's a filmmaker, whether they're in any industry, it's very important that they know the craft with whatever limited resources they have. I mean, something that pretty much every single filmmaker would go to. So you have to have that dedication. You have to have, that passion as a filmmaker. For you, what was your motivation? Why film? What motivated you
For this particular film, or in general?
in general being into film?
Oh, I mean, film is a working class medium. Growing up in a deprived area, working class family. We didn't really read books or anything like that. We didn't have to go to the theater, but everyone watched films on Channel 5 or ITV. I grew up watching films like Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, the big sort of Hollywood studio films. And I never thought about filmmaking as a career. I just did it purely out of fun. If you enjoy something, it doesn't feel like work, does it? And if I just happen to have a natural aptitude toward filmmaking as well, so it just seemed like a natural course. I really enjoy the medium. I enjoy telling stories. I love being able to entertain audiences with essentially, dreams that are within my head. They're just, what are these stories? They're just images and sound that I hear in my head or see in my head, and I'm translating that, physically manifesting it in the form of a film through technology, a camera. It's just a magical thing to be a part of.
That's right, because now you can effectively shoot and edit something on a phone. One of the other film awards we do, someone won an award at our film awards, and they made a film for £5. So that was the total budget. Obviously, they had to call in a few favors, but it's a
But it's
short
a
film.
feature film.
Sorry?
A feature film for £5.
No, it's a short film. It was a
Okay.
short film on the Limelight Film Awards that we also run. They made a short film for £5. That was a total budget, and we were quite shocked and surprised when they won an award. So it's got to be a good enough quality film. Just coming back to Bluff again. So tell us again. I mean, just for people who are joining us now, a little bit about the film. Let's talk. Let's start off with the narrative, just without giving too much away. What is Bluff? That's the name of the film. Run us through that, please.
So Bluff is a independent crime thriller about an undercover cop posing as a heroin addict, and he manipulates a local unsuspecting junkie into working with him for a dangerous drug dealer. It's a film that I made over the course of, you know, about 2 or 3 years. It cost me £1,500. I made it on my own as a one-man crew. I made the film in honor of my father's memory, who passed away 5 days after I finished the screenplay. I was going to delay making the film for about maybe a year, just to kind of get myself together. But then something occurred to me in the week of my father's death that I wanted to make this film, finish it as quickly as possible, so I can put an in memoriam to him at the end of the film, which I have done. And I know you haven't watched the film, but for those of you who are coming to the screening on Saturday, or you could also watch it online, it's available on video demand. Um, there's a photo in the film of the protagonist with his father as a child, and that's actually a photo of me and my father. And I found that photo on the week of his death, and I realized that I was going to use this photo of me and my father as the prop photo in my actual film.
Nice.
So
So
yeah.
your father and your legacy will now remain throughout, through the film itself. So again, Bluff. I've not seen it because you're coming to London to open the film with us. at Close Up Cinema. So we're very excited. I want to see the film. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now, this is very important to everyone else watching. Though those challenges we talk about, finance, that filmmaking costs money. Yes, it does. But Sheikh Shahnawaz, a British Bangladeshi Muslim, he's made a feature film for £1,500. I mean, come on. Sometimes you spend that over a month or something, you know. But it's not the money; it's the sweat equity that I think that people don't realize. Obviously, you know, you could probably earn 1,500 quid in a month quite easily, but to actually produce a film over, I think you said 2 to 3 years,
Yeah.
the amount of energy and resources. So it's not the money. Money is not the reason, and I keep saying this. I've made my own features, and we've got a few others in the pipeline, but we're not talking about me today. It's about Sheikh Shahnawaz. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can make low budget films. The days of as you were saying, shooting on film. I mean, I studied photography at A level in the 90s, so you know the old black and white stock
Bonus
agitated.
cameras.
Exactly. So the
Yeah.
whole processing, etc. And before you took a shot, you were really careful that you don't want to overshoot things because it's costing money. So I get that then. But now, as you say, there's no excuse. So it's fantastic that you've been able to inspire people that shooting a film on such a low budget. And I mean that in the most respectful way because you actually have a finished product. I've seen the trailer, the sound quality, everything is good. Can you tell us what you shot on? Is that okay to talk about your bit of
Yeah.
your for other filmmakers as well? What did you
Yeah.
shoot on,
So
please?
So I shot on a Sony A7 III camera with I only used one lens, a zoom lens, 24 to 70 millimeter f4. This allowed me. It's a really small camera. It's handheld. It's a handheld mirrorless camera. It's got great image quality. Shoots in 4K. Has great options for color as well. So when you take it into the post production in the edit suite, you can really get an amazing image out of it once it's all color corrected and graded. This camera allowed me to basically be able to film anywhere with the actors. Most of the time on set, it was just me and two actors, so we could roll around, film a whole scene in an hour, and be out of a location before security guards can tell us, can
For
grab
gorillas.
us. Yeah,
Yes. Fantastic. And how big was your crew then on a day-to-day basis?
it was just me on my own with the actors.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, and a final question in terms of equipment, what else did you add on to your camera, i.e., the sound and light? What
Yeah.
else was?
So I tried to use natural light as much as possible. If I needed extra lights, I only ever had one LED light with me. I could use to kind of light someone from the side, give a bit of shadow on the other side of the face, so it's quite dramatic. So it played into the noir style of the film. In terms of sound, I just used the Zoom H1 recorder and a lavalier mic. And with the lavalier mic, I just taped it on the actor's chest,
Yeah.
pressed record, hoped for the best, and 95% of the time the sound was clear. I did have to do a bit of dubbing in post, but other than that, it actually worked really well. I didn't need a sound recorder on the day or anyone with a boom
Yeah.
microphone.
Yeah. So now you've made this film. With the first time you watched the film, because that's a very personal, emotional moment. I remember I watched the first time I watched my film in a theater. The whole theater was empty because I was doing a screen test before the actual the doors were opening. So how was that for you? Going through all of that, your personal journey, your father is in the film as well. How did that feel for you?
Honestly, I felt like I've watched the film 1,000 times before we even had the premiere for it because I watched every scene maybe 1,000 times as I was editing it. Then I watched the full film hundreds of times while I was doing the grading, the sound design, the music pass. So I did so many passes on it. I kind of felt numb to the film. But when we did the premiere for it in Millennium Point in Birmingham, that and sitting with an audience of about 300 people, it was I started crying in when I saw my father's face when I saw my father's face on the big screen. I couldn't control myself. It wasn't because of the film. It was just because I pulled off this impossible feat, and I didn't know if it was ever going to be possible. And now that I can finally show it to people, a finished film, and my father's face, people all around the world are watching this film, seeing my father's face, and probably not knowing the story behind it, but knowing that I've immortalized his memory in my film. it was just a very powerful feeling, and I
Fantastic.
was overcome by it.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because even when I dedicated my first feature film to my mum and dad,
Yeah.
um, and that's why it's a very powerful thing. So again, if you've joined us, if you're watching, or if you're watching this after the live stream itself, we're talking to Sheikh Shahnawaz, the film director, writer, director, producer, cameraman, editor, everything. Right? He's made a film called Bluff. We're watching this at the fifth London Bengali Film Festival, which will be screened this Saturday at 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. this Saturday at Close Up Cinema. There's some information scrolling down. So if you want to see this film, join us at the London Bengali Film Festival. lbff.co.uk is the website. Sheikh Shahnawaz has made this amazing film, and it is a massive feat. This is pretty much, the auteur theory, the one person can, I think you're very, very close to that auteur theory, and a lot of people visualize how can they minimize the struggles of filmmaking, and you have to do what you've done. You've gone through from writing, casting, location, everything, the technical side of it as well. Food, how did you provide food for your cast?
We just went for pizza afterwards, or sometimes we went for a chippy, or
Is
if we
that,
were
is
feeling
that where most of
hungry,
your budget
Subway.
went to? Is that where most of your £1,500 went to?
Actually, it did. I kept I kept the list of everything we spent the money, £1,500 on. A lot of it was food, and some of it was all the props we needed, like costumes and all of that sort of stuff. I think it was about £300 on props, and a lot of it was just food and drink for people.
That was your cash budget, i.e., the actual physical money you spent. But you had
Yeah,
your own camera equipment, which
yeah.
obviously you invested in your editing. So if you were able to put a value on including your time, if someone was to pay you to do this again, what kind of a figure would you be thinking about, from scripting, directing, location, editing? Because obviously £1,500 is the money you physically paid for, but
Yeah.
we're talking about the actual value overall.
The value of the film, if I paid for everything and did it the proper way, 100 to £150,000.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I think this is where the feat sounds amazing, because you've done, let's say, £150,000 film for 1% of that actual amount. So that in itself is something to celebrate with. Okay, we've got a few more minutes left. I want to talk briefly about diversity on film, because this is something I feel very passionate about. And this is the reason we volunteer and set up the London Bengali Film Festival, to celebrate and raise issues and stories about the Bengali diaspora. So whether you're a Bangladeshi in Bangladesh, or in the UK, or anywhere, or a Bengali from West Bengal, anywhere, but that cultural heritage that we have. And by cultural heritage, I mean the whole of Bengal and the diaspora as well. What are your thoughts on the platforms provided and access to filmmaking? How has that been for you?
So within my own film, obviously, it's written and directed by a Bangladeshi filmmaker. Um, the lead actors came from an Indian background, a Pakistani background. There was one actor from a Bangladeshi background, someone else from an Irish background. So it was very multicultural, very similar, very aligned with what Birmingham is like, a very multicultural city to live in. In terms of opportunity from people from diverse backgrounds, well, I had to make this film on my own for £1,500. I couldn't get anyone to even any mainstream sales agent or talent agent to respond to an email in the UK. The BFI weren't bothered. No one in the UK really cared, and even now they still sort of don't care. But here's what it is. I've hired a publicist.
It's very
From,
important, because I speak to a lot of these execs and different people, and it's very important that we hear these stories, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable to speak about. It's very important, because this is the reality. I was speaking to the deputy mayor lead for culture, and she's very passionate about working. But again, I think there's a gap between people like yourself and myself and other filmmakers from more diverse backgrounds, having that access and pathway. So, anything else like that you feel like? I mean, if there was a suggestion, what would you suggest to these organizations that are there for film and cultural sector?
I mean, I can't blame it all on a race card at the same time as well. There's very limited opportunity for feature filmmaking in the UK. Things are more shifting to television.
Yeah,
The only thing that rubs me the wrong way is how they love to. talk about diversity and advocate for diversity. And unless you hit those sort of diversity check boxes, they don't really care. So if I was let's say I was a British Bangladeshi Muslim filmmaker, but I made a film about a gay Muslim terrorist, that would probably get funded.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to make a mainstream crime film,
Yeah.
no, they're not interested. It's just, it's funny how they'll only give me the opportunity if it benefits them in their sort of diversity quota. That's what I like to call that.
Yeah,
I
no,
like to call it brownie points. That's what it is. They want brownie points for, look at us. We just helped
yeah,
this
no,
brown filmmaker make a brown film.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very important you say that because a lot of people have said that. Okay, fine, I may be from a ethnic minority background, etc., but my ethnic minority stories are not good enough. I need to be making certain types of stories, and sometimes filmmakers like yourself, myself as well, we want to tell other stories. So I think that's part of the struggle. Sheikh Shahnawaz, thank you very much for your time. Final thing, really, obviously, I'll close off by saying when and where they can watch this film. If you want to say anything to other people, either from the South Asian community or ethnic minorities who want to make films, or even young people, there's lots of people out there we know through various projects we do. You've made this film, fantastic film. So Sheikh Shahnawaz once again has made a feature film for a budget that I feel quite guilty to kind of repeat, but it's £1,500 is spent. That is not the value of the film. The value of the film we've established will be at least £150,000. But he's done this, and he spent most of his money on pizza and food. Sheikh Shahnawaz, if you want to say something to inspire other people who want to make a film like yourself, what are the basic things you think they should look into?
Choosing a career in film is a really dumb decision. But even if I say that, and you still want to make films, and you're willing to take on the financial hardships and the roadblocks of that particular path, then give it your all, and just enjoy it, and don't wait around for opportunity. Just make a film. As simple as that sounds, if you want to be a filmmaker, just make a film. You know, you don't have enough finance, then find a way to make a film for nothing. If you have you have a rich uncle, maybe get him to invest in your film. You might not see any money, but do whatever you got to do if you want to make films.
Very important point. This is something we always speak about from the film fraternity, if you like. If you want to make a feature film and you don't have, let me rephrase that. I went to a film event a while back, and then the film chap said, if you wish to make a feature film and you want to make with $10 million, this is an American chap, so I'll rephrase what he's saying. And you don't have $10 million, you make a feature film with 1 million. Now you don't have 1 million, you make a feature film with 100,000, and it goes down. So if you cannot make a feature film, just to get the real life experiences, start off by making short films, because you'll understand people management. That's the biggest thing about filmmaking. You'll understand budgeting, not necessarily spending, but the value of your own time, etc. You'll understand the technical sides of it and practicalities of filming as well. Obviously, we want some creativity there as well. So just before we wrap up here, Sheikh Shahnawaz, feature film director from the UK, Birmingham. He's made a film called Bluff, which we've heard quite a bit about. We will be looking very much forward to screening the film at the 5th London Bengali Film Festival, where Sheikh Shahnawaz will be coming, and we will be able to speak to Sheikh Shahnawaz as well. Bluff is the name of the film. If you've not seen it, not only is it screening at the London Bengali Film Festival, but it's also available online. Sheikh Shahnawaz, what's the name of the website, please?
Of the film,
Of the film, please.
yeah, bluff-movie.com.
So that's bluff-movie.com, and I believe they will find links if they want to view it online as well. So it's fantastic, and this is very important. We support independent filmmakers. But before that, I think he alone deserves a virtual round of applause that he's made a feature film, and with such a tiny budget. And most importantly, budget and everything aside, he's gone through all the steps and stages of film production pretty much by himself. So you deserve something. You deserve some kind of an award. So and I think the award in itself is the fact that you've made this film, and it will become hopefully a legacy, and it will be there. Sheikh Shahnawaz, we're very much looking forward to seeing you in person on Saturday at the London Bengali Film Festival. Thank you very much for your time, and we will lock off now. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Okay, so that was Sheikh Shahnawaz. He was talking about his feature film and experience in the film industry. An amazing feat. The chap has made a feature film, and it's taken him 2 to 3 years, which is quite normal in the space of things to produce a film. But his advice was that, you just get up and make a film, even if it's something short and tiny. Budget shouldn't restrain you. He's proved this. And I think lots of people need to hear this from different sectors and different industries, that not only is it possible, but he shouldn't have had to work so hard and be pretty much a one-man show. He should have had far more support, and I think that's what's missing. Is we need more support for filmmakers. We need more support for diversity in film. Just before I wrap up, one more time, London Bengali Film Festival. Come and watch Sheikh Shahnawaz feature film, a film made by a British Bangladeshi Muslim person, and he's been in the UK pretty much his whole life. He's made this amazing film. Come and watch it. Celebrate filmmakers of independent backgrounds and diverse backgrounds, rather. So www.lbff.co.uk, which is somewhere scrolling. Here we go. There's the website. Come and watch the film. There are other films as well. We've got some free screenings on Saturday, and in London we close the 5th London Bengali Film Festival by a very celebrated Bangladeshi film director called Amitabh Reza, who's made a film called Rickshaw Girl. So come and watch the films, support independent films, support Bangla film, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. All the very best. Bye-bye.